His wrath was poured out on the earth over a period of time with the opening of the seven seals. And then we had Yahweh's wrath that's going to be poured out upon the earth. But remember one thing, do what you're supposed to do, because brother Saul told you, we shall be saved from Yahweh's wrath. So consider these things, because Yahweh don't owe us anything. And just be thankful that he's called us in these latter days and given us an opportunity to obtain salvation, something we've never had all of our lives. But Brother Steve, read the oracles of the church and invite him who stands at the door that he may come in and sup with us and us with him, that we may continue to read out of this legacy and consider what we read, because our time is at hand.
I'm going to read the oracles of the church, beginning at 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man have received a gift, even so minister the same one to another, as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yeshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen.
Amen.
Ephesians chapter 4, verse 29. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed unto the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for the anointed one's sake have forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim as dear children, and walk in love, as the anointed one also have loved us, and have given himself for us an offering and a sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becometh saints, neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks.
Amen.
Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him, and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcometh will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I also overcame, and am set down with my Father in his throne. He that have an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the church.
Amen. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the church and Holy Convention. Now, last week, we dealt with the events that's going to take place at the Messiah's return. When the Messiah came and stood on the Mount of Olives, he destroyed all the armies and so forth and so on. And then we went in Isaiah 66 and read about the people bringing the children of Israel back up to the land, and that our holy days will be set in place. What days the temple is going to be open on the Sabbath and in the new moon and so forth. That these things are going to continue forever. So what I like to do today is I like to kind of set up that kingdom, kind of set up the way that kingdom is going to be ran and so forth and so on, so we can have the idea whether we want to be a part of this or not. I'd like to start our class today in the prophet Isaiah chapter 14. And I want you to read verse 1 through verse 32. Let's pick it up after the Messiah put on all rules and begin to build his temple.
Yes, sir. Isaiah chapter 14, verse 1. For Yahweh will have mercy on Yachov, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land, and the stranger shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Yachov.
Just like Paul told him, say, you're a wild olive tree. You've been grafted into this tree here contrary to nature, but don't you boast against those branches, because if Yahweh didn't spare the natural branches, take heed lest he don't spare you. So it is going to be, when we get in the book of Revelations, we can find out that there's going to be a great multitude of people of all nations and tongues and languages that's going to hear the things that you are saying, because there's many people that's not going to worship this beast. It's only Satan's children that's going to worship this beast. It's not as many people are going to be killed off as a lot of people think they are. From the thing that you hear that the earth is going to be destroyed. Not yet. It's not time. If the earth is destroyed, then all the people will be killed off, and everybody would go to heaven, because they wouldn't have no place else to go, because the new earth would not come until after the 1,000-year period. But go ahead and read, Steve.
He says, chapter 14, verse 2, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of Yahweh for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors.
And this links up with what was said in Revelation, that he that leadeth in captivity shall go into captivity. He that kills with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the faith and the patience of the saints. But go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 3, and it shall come to pass in the day that Yahweh shall give thee rest from thy sorrow, and from thy fear, and from the hard bondage wherein thou wert made to serve, that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon, and say, how have the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. Yahweh hath broken the staff of the wicked, and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger, is persecuted, and none hinders. The whole earth is at rest, and is quiet. They break forth into singing. Yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since you are laid down, no fella is come up against us.
Since we got peace upon the earth, no fella is come up against us. The bow and the arrow has been broken out of the earth, and the earth is going to become as the Garden of Eden again. We have to understand what it is that destroys the earth. It's sin. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. He says, chapter 14, verse 9. Hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirs up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. All they shall speak and say unto thee, are you also become weak as we? Are you become like unto us? Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vows. The worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. How are you fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How are you cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations? For you have said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of Elohim. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High.
Well, look at the earth today. Look at how many people it is that are unknowingly worshiping the adversary, the devil. Of course, we know that they got Luciferian cults that worship Lucifer outright. But look at the people that has been deceived into worshiping Lucifer and don't even know that this is who they are worshiping. Now, what do you think going to happen once he gets thrown out of heaven? Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 15. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms, that made the world as a wilderness, and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners? All the kings of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory, every one in his own house. But you are cast out of your grave like an abominable branch, and as the remnant of those that are slain, thrust through with a sword, that go down to the stones of the pit, as a carcass trodden on the feet. Thou shalt not be joined with them in burial, because thou hast destroyed thy land and slain thy people. The seed of evildoers shall never be renowned.
Praise Yah.
prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. For I will rise up against them, says Yahweh of hosts, and cut off from America the name
Cut
and
off from Babylon.
Babylon, I'm sorry. The name and remnant and son and nephew, says Yahweh. I will also make it a possession for the Benton and pools of water, and I will sweep it with the broom of destruction, says Yahweh of hosts.
And the trumpets and the vials show just how he swept it with the broom of destruction, his great heavenly treasures. But go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir, verse 20.
When it says Babylon here, as opposed to saying America, it's talking about all of Europe.
Yeah, it's talking about all of Europe. Now Satan is Lucifer's thrown out of heaven. It talks about America in chapter 13. Then it talks about her mother, the Roman Empire. It talks about the Roman Empire that Satan really uses as his power base. It's talking about the revived Holy Roman Empire that came back up. This is what it's talking about now. That's why in verse 22 I said Babylon instead of America. Okay, go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir, verse 24. Yahweh of hosts have sworn, saying, surely as I have thought, so shall it come to pass, and as I have purposed, so shall it stand, that I will break the Assyrian in my land, and upon my mountains tread him underfoot. Then shall his yoke depart from off them, and his burden depart from off their shoulders.
Now we know that the Assyrians aren't the one that has us in captivity today. It's the Gentiles. So when it's talking about the Assyrians here, it's mentioning the whole Gentile nation. That's why it said in verse 21, prepare slaughter for his children. Okay. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir, verse 26. This is the purpose that is purposed upon the whole earth, and this is the hand that is stretched out upon all the nations. For Yahweh of hosts have purpose, and who shall disannul it? And his hand is stretched out, and who shall turn it back? In the year that King Ahaz died was this burden. Rejoice not thou, whole Philistia, because the rod of him that smote thee is broken. For out of the serpent's root shall come forth a cockatrice, and his fruit shall be a fiery flying serpent. And the firstborn of the poor shall feed, and the needy shall lie down in safety. And I will kill thy root with famine, and he shall slay thy remnant. Howl, O gate! Cry, O city! Thou whole Philistia are dissolved. For there shall come from the north a smoke, and none shall be along in his appointed times. What shall one then answer the messenger of the nation? That Yahweh have founded Yehudah, and the poor of his people shall trust in it.
Okay, Satan's children has been killed off. He's been thrown in the bottomless pit, and Israel is being set up as the ruling power on this earth. And what will people answer is that Yahweh has founded Zion, and the poor of his people shall trust in that. Now, Ezekiel 34 in verse 11 through chapter 36 in verse 38. Ezekiel 34 in verse 11 through chapter 36 and verse 38. People talk about the master going, everybody going to heaven, and I'm reading where he's found his Zion. If he found it, he's going to live in it. Not just find it to give it back to us again, because y'all know what we'll do if he's not here. Yeah. Ezekiel 34, and pick that up, my brother, at verse 11.
Yes, sir. For thus says the Adonai Elohim, behold, I, even I, will both search my sheep and seek them out.
That's why people show up, because Yahweh is searching out his sheep through the works that you are doing. And his sheep show up. His sheep join this congregation. I mean, you're going to always have a whole lot of folks that's going to float in and out of congregation because they're unstable as water. But you're going to always have the core group in the congregation, the saints, that Yahweh is going to add to when he sees fit, and that is his flock. Yeah. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 12. As a shepherd seeks out his flock in the day that he is among his sheep that are scattered, so will I seek out my sheep, and will deliver them out of all places where they have been scattered in the cloudy and dark day. And I will bring them out from the people, and gather them from the countries, and will bring them to their own land, and feed them upon the mountains of Israel by the rivers, and in all the inhabited places of the country.
And now we see the kingdom's being set up, all rule has been put out, the Messiah is dwelling in Mount Zion, he's beginning to build his temple, and all the people are bringing Israel back up to the land of Israel to give them to the Messiah. Take your people so we can have some peace and prosperity in our land. Yeah, we sorry. Yeah, most folks are. Go on and read, brother.
Ezekiel chapter 34, verse 14. I will feed them in a good pasture, and upon the high mountains of Israel shall their fold be. There shall they lie in a good fold, and in a fat pasture shall they feed upon the mountains of Israel.
Amen.
I will feed my flock, and I will cause them to lie down, says the Adonai Elohim. I will seek that which was lost, and bring again that which was driven away, and will bind up that which was broken, and will strengthen that which was sick. But I will destroy the fat and the strong. I will feed them with judgment.
Verse 22.
Therefore will I save my flock, and they shall no more be a prey, and I will judge between cattle and cattle.
I'm going to judge between cattle and cattle now. I'm going to judge between the rams and the he-goats. So even after we are saved, there's going to be a judging that's going to be done between the saints then, isn't it? It all has to do with power. Yahweh, the name Yahweh even speaks of power. It reeks of power. And this is the power. How can you be the sons of the true and living God and don't be given this power? But that power will be given in degrees. And you can just about tell a lot of things that's going to take place. All you got to do is look at the intensity of people's efforts toward getting this word out and toward serving the true and living God. Then you can just about tell whether they truly trying to serve the true and living God, whether people are still trying to serve themselves of the Creator. But go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir.
Knowledge is one thing. Let's understand that. Knowledge is one thing, but everybody got knowledge. All the people out there in the street got some knowledge in the word of the true and living God. But what they don't have is what you have, and that is the Holy Ghost. And that's what determines your salvation. And your direction and the thing that you do is the Holy Ghost. It ain't you. It's the Holy Ghost. Okay, go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Ezekiel chapter 34, verse 23. And I will set up one shepherd over them, and he shall feed them, even my servant David. He shall feed them, and he shall be their shepherd.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 24. And I, Yahweh, will be their Elohim, and my servant David a prince among them. I, Yahweh, have spoken.
So we got a king, and then we got a prince, right? Okay, go ahead, brother.
And Elder, speaking of that, David being a prince, it's got to be a king in Israel, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what those brothers under that old order, it's telling you here that David is going to be a prince.
Of course he is.
So who's going to be the king?
Well, that's because people don't believe in the Messiah, brother. I know some people that did believe in this Messiah, and they've talked to some old covenant brothers now. They don't even believe in the Messiah no more. Now they walk around talking about, well, we can't even mention the name Jesus. I said, that's not the Messiah, sweetie. But go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Ezekiel chapter 34, verse 25. And I will make with them a covenant of peace, and will cause the evil beasts to cease out of the land, and they shall dwell safely in the wilderness and sleep in the woods.
In other words, it's going to be just like it was in the Garden of Eden, right? No evil beast. Why? Because sin is gone. When sin is out of the world, there's no evil that can come into the world. This is why the scripture tells us that, look, a child will die 100 years old. Longevity is going to be the signs of the time once that kingdom is set up. And if a man dies at 100 years old, he'll be considered a child. But why did he die? That's the question. Because he sinned against the Most High, and that sin was judged, and it wasn't forgiven him. But go ahead and read, brother. You can't say, you can see Satan in the pit. So if you commit sin, you can't say Lucifer made me do that. See, you did that because that's what's bound up in your wicked heart. Go ahead and read, brother.
Ezekiel chapter 34, verse 26. And I will make them and the places round about my hill a blessing. And I will cause the shower to come down in his season. There shall be showers of blessing.
Praise God.
And the tree of the field shall yield her fruit, and the earth shall yield her increase, and they shall be safe in their land, and shall know that I am Yahweh, when I have broken the bands of their yoke, and delivered them out of the hand of those that serve themselves of them. And they shall no more be a prey to the heathen, neither shall the beasts of the land devour them. But they shall dwell safely, and none shall make them afraid.
Praise God.
And I will raise up for them a plant of renown, and they shall be no more consumed with hunger in the land, neither bear the shame of the heathen anymore. Thus shall they know that I, Yahweh, their Elohim, am with them, and that they, even the house of Israel, are my people, says the Adonai Elohim. And you, my flock, the flock of my pastor, are men, and I am your Elohim, says the Adonai Elohim. Moreover, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set your face against Mount Seir, and prophesy against it, and say unto it, Thus says the Adonai Elohim, Behold, O Mount Seir, I am against you, and I will stretch out my hand against you, and I will make you most desolate.
So we know he's talking about Esau, talking about Mount Seir, right? Okay, brother, go to chapter 36 and verse 1.
Yes, sir. Also, thou son of man, prophesy unto the mountains of Israel, and say, You mountains of Israel, hear the word of Yahweh. Thus says the Adonai Elohim, because the enemy have said against you, Aha, even the ancient high places are ours in possession.
Aren't they in possession of the ancient high places? Go ahead, brother.
Verse 3. Therefore prophesy and say, Thus says the Adonai Elohim, because they have made you desolate and swallowed you up on every side, that you might be a possession unto the residue of the heathen, and you are taken up in the lips of talkers, and are an infamy of the people. Therefore, you mountains of Israel, hear the word of the Adonai Elohim. Thus says the Adonai Elohim to the mountains, and to the hills, to the rivers, and to the valleys, to the desolate wastes, and to the cities that are forsaken, which became a prey and derision to the residue of the heathen that are round about. Therefore, thus says the Adonai Elohim, Surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, and against all Edomia, which have appointed my land into their possession with the joy of all their heart, with despiteful minds, to cast it out for a prey.
Right, and they do cast it out for a prey. Great Britain, look at the trouble that Tony Blair got in about Israel, and look at the problem that America is getting themselves into concerning Israel. They give the Israelis anything they want. You know why? Because in 1948 they were the ones that backed them and set them up as the Jews. Well, we didn't know no better. We was over here talking about we are Afro-Americans. Okay. No, at that time we was calling ourselves Negroes and Coloreds.
Yeah. I was looking at the history.
I ain't from Africa. Never was born.
Okay.
I was checking out the History Channel, and they had when the Romans sacked Jerusalem, when the Muslims had took over Jerusalem. The king, I forget the king at the time of the Muslims at the time, but he offered a Negro slave to the Roman general that was conquering at the time. You know, that's just how deep that stuff go back in all those years. They've been using us for barter and bait, even for peace.
Of course. That's because of who we are, brother. And we brought a high prize on the market. That's why they call us black gold. We brought a high prize on the market, brother, because people realize one thing. Whosoever had these three tribes, Benjamin, Judah, and Levi, as their servants, these people were the most powerful nations upon the earth. And America tried to put it in a position to where we would always be their slaves, brother. That way they'd always command power. But Their grasp is slipping on power now simply because the beast is sitting up, and Jake is getting ready to do some strange things in this country. Y'all don't pay no attention to this 1 million+ man march that they're talking about.
Right.
What y'all pay attention to is these Black Hawk helicopters that's coming into our neighborhoods, sitting down in neighborhoods with folks sliding down these ropes and everything with this urban warfare practices they're doing. That's what you watch. You watch how quick it takes a police department to cordon off a whole area. A whole area, brother. And if you in that area, ain't no doubt about it, they're going to get you and everybody else. As a matter of fact, as quiet as it's kept, it's been some people on those escapades that the military's been doing. It's been some people killed in that thing, brother. But America has been keeping that stuff quiet simply because of the fact that they don't want no panic about what the army is doing. But they plan to blow up quite a few places in this country here. We know that the United States government is behind these things. Why do you think they talk about they looking for bin Laden, right? Do you know that the Saudi bin Laden construction company built all of her America's overseas bases?
Mm-hmm.
And they looking for him. All they got to do is go to the bank. Yeah. Go ahead, bro.
You know, it's a lot of things the military does and really don't let the public know. They just tell them a little bit, a tidbit of the truth. When I was in Vietnam back in the 60s, it was a common place for us to be fired upon and killed by the American. And I remember I was doing an interview for the ABC back in 67, and we had been fired upon by the American. And the guy allowed me to complete the interview, and he said, man, we can't tell our people this.
Correct. Do you know that America itself had planned on blowing up airplanes if they didn't run those planes into those buildings? They had planned on blowing up planes themselves, bro. Didn't care how many people was on them. You know, it's all about control. And that's what they're getting to, brother. Control, this national ID and so forth. If they get that in place, brother, they can kick you out the system whenever they got ready to, and there's nothing that you can do about it.
That's what thing where they trying to get this driver license thing right.
Everybody don't drive, they have to do something else. Everybody don't drive, brother. What about your kids that's underage to get driver's license? They're going to have to be ID too. This is why they're doing this with kids. Even in the hospital, they're giving kids, we know that they're giving kids Social Security numbers when they issue birth certificates. They're trying to keep up with everybody, brother. So when they get to looking for folks, they'll know who they're looking for, know who they need to destroy, and will destroy you, and guess what? Nothing will be said about it. He was talking on the news the other night that DeKalb County is planning on opening some of these Atlanta child murders again. You know why? Like I told you in the beginning, they had the wrong brother in the beginning. See, the kids were still getting killed after he was locked up doing time.
I had a brother out there on the job, man, he was a Klansman. My supervisor, he said, he didn't even believe that. He hated Jake, man.
Yeah,
but
brother.
he knew they had the wrong guy.
Of course. Of course, we've been preyed upon ever since we disobeyed Yahweh's word. But see, what this does is this not only shows us the goodness of Yahweh toward us, it also shows you the good of Yahweh toward the whole nations. In the fact, and considering the fact that He said, "Whosoever touch you, touch the apple of my eye, I'm going to recompense it to you." So Yahweh sacrificed the whole nation so that the other people could be saved. Salvation without sacrifice is not known in Scripture. We had to be sacrificed so that the rest of Yahweh's creation could be saved.
And speaking of, before you go on your class, speaking of that, back to my brother here, but how wicked this daughter Babylon is, I was watching, and it was shown by Vietnam, that Agent Orange, how they was dropping that stuff down in the kudzus where their own soldiers were, right? And then it's flowing off on the ground, and it went all in the rivers over there, over in Vietnam. And they showed this week on CNN those babies are still deformed. They say America, the things she did back in the 60s is still causing her people problems today.
And brother, you'd be surprised how many prisons and how many mental institutions has got a lot of soldiers that came out of Vietnam that's in those places because of two purpose. Number one, that Agent Orange is causing some problems. And number two, people was over there fighting and never knew what they was fighting for.
Right.
They get Charlie come in and shoot up, kill off 10 or 20 of their people, and they get Charlie all cornered off in a hole someplace, and then a call come from the Pentagon to back off.
Right.
don't fire shots. So the people didn't know what was going on, so you can understand. You go to water wind. And with all these things and all the chemicals that they had injected the people in before they went over there, and then dropping all these that defoliage and everything all on the people, you can very well see America don't give a damn about her people. The only thing she care about is power. She'll sacrifice cities to keep her power. What does she care? There ain't nothing but people ain't nothing but cannon fodder. Yeah, go ahead and read, brother.
Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 6. Prophesy therefore concerning the land of Israel, and say unto the mountains, and to the hills, to the rivers, and to the valleys, thus says the Adonai Elohim, behold, I have spoken in my jealousy and in my fury, because you have borne the shame of the heathen. Therefore, thus says the Adonai Elohim, I have lifted up mine hand, surely the heathen that are about you, they shall bear their shame.
Praise Yah.
But you, O mountains of Israel, you shall shoot forth your branches, and yield your fruit to my people of Israel, for they are at hand to come.
Praise Yah.
For behold, I am for you, and I will turn unto you, and you shall be tilled and sown. And I will multiply men upon you, all the house of Israel, even all of it, and the city shall be inhabited, and the wastes shall be built. And I will multiply upon you man and beast, and they shall increase and bring fruit. And I will settle you after your old estates, and will do better unto you than at your beginnings, and you shall know that I am Yahweh. Yea, I will cause men to walk upon you, even my people Israel. And they shall possess thee, and thou shalt be their inheritance, and thou shalt no more henceforth bereave them of men. Thus says the Adonai Elohim, because they say unto you, you land devour up men, and have bereaved thy nations. Therefore thou shalt devour men no more, neither bereave thy nations any more, says the Adonai Elohim. Neither will I cause men to hear in you the shame of the heathen any more, neither shall you bear the reproach of the people any more, neither shall you cause your mountains to fall any more. Your nations, says the Adonai Elohim.
Amen.
Moreover, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, when the house of Israel dwelt in their own land, they defiled it by their own way and by their doings. Their way was before me as the uncleanness of a removed woman. Wherefore I poured my fury upon them for the blood that they had shed upon the land, and for their idols wherewith they had polluted it. And I scattered them among the heathen, and they were dispersed through the countries. According to their way and according to their doings, I judged them. And when they entered into the heathen, whither they went, they profaned my holy name, when they said to them, These are the people of Israel, and are gone forth out of his land. But I had pity for my holy name, which the house of Israel had profaned among the heathen, whither they went. Therefore say unto the house of Israel, Thus says the Adonai Elohim, I do not this for your sakes, O house of Israel, but for my holy name's sake, which you have profaned among the heathen, whither you went. And I will sanctify my great name, which was profaned among the heathen, which you have profaned in the midst of them. And the heathen shall know that I am Yahweh, says the Adonai Elohim, when I shall be sanctified in you before their eyes. For I will take you from among the heathen, and gather you out of all countries, and will bring you into your own land. Then will I sprinkle clean water upon you, and you shall be clean. From all your filthiness and from all your idols will I cleanse you. A new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit will I put within you. And I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you a heart of flesh.
Praise Yah.
And I will put my spirit within you, and cause you to walk in my statutes, and you shall keep my judgments and do them. And you shall dwell in the land that I gave to your fathers, and you shall be my people, and I will be your Elohim.
So if he's going to put his spirit in you, and he's going to also give you a new heart, then you must be going to, some people must be going to be those new creatures then, aren't they? Okay, go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir, verse 29. I will also save you from all your uncleannesses, and I will cause for the corn, and will increase it, and lay no famine upon you. And I will multiply the fruit of the tree, and the increase of the field, that you shall receive no more reproach of famine among the heathen. Then shall you remember your own evil ways, and your doings that were not good, and shall loathe yourselves in your own sight for your iniquities and for your abominations. Not for your sakes do I this, says the Adonai Elohim. Be it known unto you. Be ashamed and confounded for your own ways, O house of Israel. Thus says the Adonai Elohim. In the day that I shall have cleansed you from all your iniquities, I will also cause you to dwell in the cities, and the wastes shall be builded. And the desolate land shall be tilled, whereas it lay desolate in the sight of all that pass by. And they shall say, this land that was desolate is become like the garden of Eden. And the waste and desolate and ruined cities are become fenced and are inhabited. Then the heathen that are left round about you shall know that I, Yahweh, built the ruined places and plant that was desolate. I, Yahweh, have spoken it, and I will do it. Thus says the Adonai Elohim. I will yet for this be inquired of by the house of Israel, to do it for them. I will increase them with men like a flock, as the holy flock, as the flock of Jerusalem in her solemn feast, so shall the waste cities be filled with flocks of men, and they shall know that I am Yahweh.
Amen. Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 1 through chapter 33 and verse 26. Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 1 through chapter 33 and verse 26.
Verse 1. The word that came to Jeremiah from Yahweh, saying, Thus speaketh Yahweh Elohim of Israel, saying, Write thee all the words that I have spoken unto thee in a book. For lo, the days come, says Yahweh, that I will bring again the captivity of my people Israel and Yehudah, says Yahweh, and I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their fathers, and they shall possess it. And these are the words that Yahweh spoke concerning Israel and concerning Yehudah. But thus says Yahweh, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. Ask you now, and see whether man doth travail with child. Why do I see every man with his hands on his loins, as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness?
Because of the things that's going to be coming up on us, coming from the nations. And like I said last week, we are parasites. And you know what you do with parasites? You get rid of them. Okay, go ahead and read it, brother.
They got in the dictionary a word called white man's burden, you know? Speaking about people less fortunate.
Right, that's what a parasite is. In this country here, the Gentiles are a burden, right. And we've been a burden, although we've been a blessing to them, we've been a burden to them ever since they've been in this country, brother. And now we are more of a burden to them because there's so many of us now. And there's so many of our people out of work now. These people have got to do something, and the only thing that they can do, brother, is to get rid of us. We see us being replaced. We know what the deal is. Now, we can walk around and play games if we want to, but Yahweh is on the march. And he's called us for one reason, to learn of him, to learn what's going to take place so we can watch and attain this salvation, do the things that's necessary that we might attain salvation. You ain't going to make it just because you think and your family think and other people in the congregation think you a good Joe. No. It's all got to do with what the Holy Ghost deals with. Yeah, go ahead and read, brother.
Shabbat Shalom, Sister Tamar. We're at Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 7. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved.
And what would we say? What did we read last week? It said, before she prevailed, she brought forth her children. It said, be in labor, be in pain and labor to bring forth, right? But that's what we got to do. We can't do this thing haphazardly. We got to go at this thing the same way you would go at anything else that you really, really want in your life. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 8. For it shall come to pass in that day, says Yahweh of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off your neck, and will burst your bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him. But they shall serve Yahweh their Elohim, and David their king, whom I will raise up unto them. Therefore fear thou not, O my servant Jacob, says Yahweh, neither be dismayed, O Israel. For lo, I will save thee from afar, and thy seed from the land of their captivity, and Jacob shall return, and shall be in rest, and be quiet, and none shall make him afraid. For I am with thee, says Yahweh, to save thee. Though I make a full end of all nations whither I have scattered thee, yet will I not make a full end of thee, but I will correct thee in measure, and will not leave thee altogether unpunished.
Praise Yah.
But thus says Yahweh, thy bruise is incurable, and thy wound is grievous. There is none to plead thy cause, that thou mayest be bound up. Thou hast no healing medicines. All thy lovers have forgotten thee; they seek thee not. For I have wounded thee with the wound of an enemy, with the chastisement of a cruel one, for the multitude of thine iniquity, because thy sins were increased. Why criest thou for thine affliction? Thy sorrow is incurable for the multitude of thine iniquity. Because thy sins were increased, I have done these things unto thee. Therefore all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thine adversaries, every one of them, shall go into captivity. And they that spoil thee shall be spoiled, and all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey. For I will restore health unto thee, and I will heal thee of thy wounds, says Yahweh, because they called thee an outcast, saying, this is Zion, whom no man seeks.
Right. This is a lawless, self-willed people, and nobody is seeking after this people here. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 18. Thus says Yahweh, behold, I will bring again the captivity of Jacob's tents, and have mercy on his dwelling places, and the city shall be built upon her own heap, and the palace shall remain after the manner thereof. And out of them shall proceed thanksgiving, and the voice of them that make merry. And I will multiply them, and they shall not be few. I will also glorify them, and they shall not be small. Their children also shall be as aforetime, and their congregation shall be established before me, and I will punish all that oppress them. And their nobles shall be of themselves, and their governors shall proceed from the midst of them, and I will cause him to draw near, and he shall approach unto me. For who is this that engages hard to approach unto me? Says Yahweh. And you shall be my people, and I will be your Elohim. Behold, the whirlwind of Yahweh goeth forth with fury, a continuing whirlwind. It shall fall with pain upon the head of the wicked. The fierce anger of Yahweh shall not return until he have done it, and until he have performed the intents of his heart. In the latter days you shall consider it. At the same time, says Yahweh, will I be the El of all the families of Israel, and they shall be my people. Thus says Yahweh, the people which were left of the sword found grace in the wilderness, even Israel, when I went to cause him to rest.
Right. And he also caused the strangers to rest with Israel, didn't he? This is why he said in verse 1, at the same time, saith Yahweh, I will be the Elohim of all the families of Israel. All the nations will become what? Spiritual Israel, right? Okay, go ahead and read, brother.
Back up there when he was talking about David, a king and a prince, they call him a prince in one scripture, they call him a king in the other. What's the difference between them?
What's the difference? How?
I mean, like the old covenant call him, he's going to be a king, that means he's going to be a Messiah.
Well, he will be a king.
And then they call him a prince in another verse.
Well, what's the difference? He will be a king, and wasn't he a king in the beginning? Well, he's just going to be a prince in the kingdom, that's all. But he's still, when you see him, you still be looking at King David, won't you? Okay, but he's going to be a prince because you can't have, look at the 4 and 20 elders. They say they're going to reign as kings on the earth, right? But we know that they're not going to have the power that the Messiah have, and David won't have the power that the Messiah have. As a matter of fact, when we get into when we get further, when we go back a little further in the book of Ezekiel, we're going to read some things that's going to show that he is going to be the prince. Just because they call him a king once don't mean that he's going to be a king, but he's going to have the power of a king. People just don't want to deal with the Messiah, that's all, because they got their own Messiah walking around here, but the Messiah was prophesied from the Genesis.
He says in Revelation that Yahshua is going to be the prince of the kings of the earth. Right.
Right, but he's going to be a king. You know, I asked one of them brothers under the old covenant, you know, I said, you know, why do you don't believe that David is going to be a king, be the prince of that kingdom? He said, because I don't believe in the Messiah. He said, our Messiah is in Israel. Well, check that out. Okay, there are many messiahs walking around, brother, but see, there was on, and then I asked the brother, I said, well, okay, according to what I read, if he's the Messiah, his mother was a virgin. I said, that brother that y'all call the father over there, he got a daddy. Okay, and it ain't no adopted daddy either. Okay, go ahead and read, Steve.
Yes, sir. Yirmiyahu, chapter 31.
All you got to do, brothers, is go in the 70 weeks of Daniel and put the Messiah on the scene in the year 26 A.D. And the things that he did was prophesied through the Old Testament, how he was going to die, the type life he was going to live, and so forth. It was all written in the Old Testament, and it's not the history of but one man written in here that came through that fulfilled those things.
When you check the thing down here, it's written about he was Alexander, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, before he was born, it was prophesied. And when you read right there, Josephus, he said the same thing. He saw his vision in the dream that he was going to be the ruler, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he had that kind of strong confidence about him.
Mm-hmm.
Because he took the priest to the temple and showed him the scroll. And the book of Josephus tell you that. So he saw that vision in his dream. He said, he sees man.
Correct, brother. All you have to do is read this thing here and you'll understand he couldn't have been talking about a natural man that could have been born in our time. It had to be done during the time when there was one of those overturnings. You know, it was an overturning that was done 3 times, and that had to be one of those overturnings, and that had to be done a long time ago. This is why the apostles came by and he overturned the old covenant and set up the new covenant with the apostles, and that happened back in those days, and people don't want to deal with that. But we had some brothers that came here and they sat out, and every time you call out something in the New Testament, they close up their books. Mm-hmm. Why? Because they just didn't understand that the New Testament is nothing new in it. It's just the New Testament was written in its entirety in the Old Testament. This is why the Old Testament, the New Testament, what they call the New Testament, told you, say, search the Scriptures. And the New Testament wasn't even written at that time. So what was they telling you to search? And man don't want to deal with those things today because the Old Testament put man in his place. It put all the nations in their place, brother. The New Testament, because of grace, a lot of people take that grace out of context and think it's a new things being done. But when you go back and put it in the Old Testament, it put everybody in their place and under Israel's thumb. Go ahead and read, Steve. Of course it does. 61st, 54, 53rd, this whole lot of chapters talk about the yeah. Go ahead and read, Steve.
Yes, sir. Yirmiyahu chapter 31, verse 3. Yahweh have appeared of old unto me, saying, Yea, I have loved thee with an everlasting love. Therefore with loving kindness have I drawn thee. Again, I will build thee, and thou shalt be built, O virgin of Israel. Thou shalt again be adorned with thy tabrets, and shall go forth in the dances of them that make merry.
And why did he call us a virgin? Simply because of the fact that we have been forgiven for our sins. This was something that didn't happen with our fathers. This is why the fathers didn't receive the Holy Ghost. But go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 5. Thou shalt yet plant vines upon the mountains of Samaria. The planter shall plant, and shall eat them as common things. For there shall be a day that the watchman upon the Mount Ephraim shall cry, Arise ye, and let us go up to Zion unto Yahweh our Elohim.
Mm-hmm.
For thus says Yahweh, Sing with gladness for Jacob, and shout among the chief of the nations. Publish you, praise you, and say, O Yahweh, save thy people, the remnant of Israel. Behold, I will bring them from the north country, and gather them from the coast of the earth, and with them the blind and the lame, the woman with child, and her that travails with child together. A great company shall return thither. They shall come with weeping, and with supplications will I lead them. I will cause them to walk by the rivers of water in a straight way, wherein they shall not stumble. For I am a father to Israel, and Ephraim is my firstborn. Hear the word of Yahweh, O you nations, and declare it in the isles afar off, and say, he that scattered Israel will gather him and keep him as a shepherd does his flock. For Yahweh hath redeemed Jacob, and ransomed him from the hand of him that was stronger than he. Therefore they shall come and sing in the height of Zion, and shall flow together to the goodness of Yahweh for wheat and for wine and for oil, and for the young of the flock and of the herd. And their soul shall be as a watered garden, and they shall not sorrow any more at all.
Praise Yah.
Then shall the virgin rejoice in the dance, both young men and old together. For I will turn their mourning into joy, and will comfort them, and make them rejoice from their sorrow. And I will saturate the soul of the priest with fatness, and my people shall be satisfied with my goodness, says Yahweh.
Verse 18.
I have surely heard Ephraim bemoaning himself thus, thou hast chastised me, and I was chastised as a bullock unaccustomed to the yoke. Turn thou me, and I shall be turned. For thou art Yahweh my Elohim. Surely after that I was turned, I repented. And after that I was instructed, I smote upon my thigh. I was ashamed, yea, even confounded, because I did bear the reproach of my youth. Is Ephraim my dear son? Is he a pleasant child? For since I spake against him, I do earnestly remember him still. Therefore my bowels are troubled for him. I will surely have mercy upon him, says Yahweh. Set thee up waymarks, make thee high heaps, set down hard toward the highway, even the way which thou wentest. Turn again, O virgin of Israel, turn again to these thy cities.
So we left in ships, and we're going to return in ships then, right? Go ahead, brother.
Verse 22. How long will you go about, O you backsliding daughter? For Yahweh hath created a new thing in the earth. A woman shall compass a man. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, as yet they shall use this speech in the land of Yehudah and in the cities thereof, when I shall bring again their captivity. Yahweh bless thee, O habitation of justice, and mountain of holiness. And there shall dwell in Yehudah itself, and in all the cities thereof together, farmers, and they that go forth with flocks. For I have saturated the weary soul, and I have replenished every sorrowful soul. Upon this I awake and beheld, and my sleep was sweet unto me. Behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that I will sow the house of Israel and the house of Yehudah with the seed of man and with the seed of beast. And it shall come to pass like as I have watched over them, to pluck up and to break down and to throw down and to destroy and to afflict, so will I watch over them to build and to plant, says Yahweh.
Praise Yah.
In those days they shall say no more, the fathers have eaten of sour grape, and the children's teeth are set on edge. But everyone shall die for his own iniquity. Every man that eats the sour grape, his teeth shall be set on edge. Behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Yehudah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they broke, although I was a husband unto them, says Yahweh. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel. After those days, says Yahweh, I will put my law in their inward parts, and write it in their hearts, and will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, Know Yahweh. For they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest of them, says Thus says Yahweh, which gives the sun for a light by day, and the ordinances of the moon and of the stars for a light by night, which divides the sea when the waves thereof roar. Yahweh of hosts is his name. If those ordinances depart from before me, says Yahweh, then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me forever. Thus says Yahweh, if heaven above can be measured, and the foundations of the earth searched out beneath, I will cast off all the seed of Israel for all that they have done, says Yahweh. Did I go too far? Okay, this is verse 30. I'm in 31. Okay. Verse 38, I'm sorry. Behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that the city shall be built to Yahweh from the tower of Hananel unto the gate of the corner. And the measuring line shall yet go forth over against it upon the hill Gareb, and shall compass about to Goad. And the whole valley of the dead bodies, and of the ashes, and all the fields unto the brook of Kitron, unto the corner of the horse gate toward the east, shall be holy unto Yahweh. It shall not be plucked up, nor thrown down anymore forever.
32 and 36, brother.
Yeah, Elder, really speaking about that new covenant, that covenant that, that we go to the process now as a spiritual, because the covenant before was Abraham, and then with kind of physical stuff. Talking about when he said the nation of priests in the book for Peter, the letters of Peter.
Okay.
The priests are a holy nation to show forth the praises.
Well, that all of that is under the auspices of the new covenant, right? But then there's going to be another covenant of peace that's going to be made, and that's going to be with the beasts of the field, the fowls of the air, and everything that's going to bring peace upon the earth. But we will be the partakers of the new covenant. That right now, all of us are under the blood of Messiah. This is our grace period. This is the period, the time that we have to either be made or broken. But once we get out in that wilderness and the rebels are purged out, that's when the covenant is going to be enjoined. Once we get into the wilderness, then once the Messiah set up his land, that's when the covenant of peace is going to be made among all the nations, because we have to have peace all over the earth for 1,000 years. Yeah. Go ahead and read, Steve.
Yirmiyahu, chapter 32, verse 36. And now, therefore, thus says Yahweh, the Elohim of Israel, concerning this city, whereof you say, it shall be delivered into the hand of the king of Babylon by the sword, and by the famine, and by the pestilence. Behold, I will gather them out of all countries, whither I have driven them in mine anger, and in my fury, and in great wrath, and I will bring them again unto this place, and I will cause them to dwell safely. And they shall be my people, and I will be their Elohim. And I will give them one heart and one way, that they may fear me forever, for the good of them, and of their children after them. And I will make an everlasting covenant with them, that I will not turn away from them to do them good, but I will put my fear in their hearts, that they shall not depart from me. Yea, I will rejoice over them to do them good, and I will plant them in this land assuredly with my whole heart and with my whole soul. But thus says Yahweh, like as I have brought all this great evil upon this people, so will I bring upon them all the good that I have promised them. And fields shall be bought in this land, whereof you say, it is desolate without man or beast, it is given into the hand of the Chaldeans. Men shall buy fields for money, and subscribe evidences, and seal them, and take witnesses in the land of Benjamin, and in the places about Jerusalem, and in the cities of Yehudah, and in the cities of the mountains, and in the cities of the valleys, and in the cities of the south, for I will cause their captivity to return, says Yahweh.
And the only way the strangers are going to own any land in our in the Fertile Crescent is that we give them a possession to dwell in, because they are servants in the land. But the land will belong to the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yirmiyahu, chapter read verse 1. Moreover, the word of Yahweh came unto Yirmiyahu the second time, while he was yet shut up in the court of the prison, saying, Thus says Yahweh, the maker thereof, Yahweh that formed it, to establish it. Yahweh is his name. Call unto me, and I will answer you and show you great and mighty things which thou knowest not.
Amen.
But thus says Yahweh, the Elohim of Israel, concerning the houses of this city, and concerning the houses of the kings of Yehudah, which are thrown down by the mounts and by the sword, they come to fight with the Chaldeans, but it is to fill them with the dead bodies of men whom I have slain in mine anger and in my fury, and for all whose wickedness I have hid my face from this city. Behold, I will bring it health and cure, and I will cure them, and will reveal unto them the abundance of peace and truth. And I will cause the captivity of Yehudah and the captivity of Israel to return, and will build them as at the first. And I will cleanse them from all their iniquity whereby they have sinned against me. And I will pardon all their iniquities whereby they have sinned, and whereby they have transgressed against me. And it shall be to me a name of joy, a praise, and an honor before all the nations of the earth, which shall hear all the goods that I do unto them. And they shall fear and tremble for all the goodness and for all the prosperity that I procure unto you. Thus says Yahweh, again there shall be heard in this place, which you say shall be desolate, without man and without beast, even in the cities of Yehudah, and in the streets of Jerusalem that are desolate, without man and without inhabitant and without beast, the voice of joy and the voice of gladness, the voice of the bridegroom and the voice of the bride, the voice of them that shall say, Praise Yahweh of hosts, for Yahweh is good, for his mercy endures forever. And of them that shall bring the sacrifice of praise into the house of Yahweh, for I will cause to return the captivity of the land as at the first, says Yahweh. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, again in this place, which is desolate without man and without beast, and in all the cities thereof, shall be a habitation of shepherds causing their flocks to lie down. In the cities of the mountains, in the cities of the vale, in the cities of the north, south, and in the land of Benjamin, and in the places about Jerusalem, and in the cities of Yehudah, shall the flocks pass again under the hands of him that counts them, says Yahweh. Behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that I will perform that good thing which I have promised unto the house of Israel and to the house of Yehudah. In those days and at that time will I cause the branch of righteousness to grow up unto David, and he shall execute judgment and righteousness in the land. In those days shall Yehudah be saved, and Jerusalem shall dwell safely, and this is the name wherewith she shall be called, Yahweh our righteousness. For thus says Yahweh, David shall never want a man to sit upon the throne of the house of Israel.
Right, it didn't say David was going to sit on it. It said he never want a man to sit upon his throne. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 18. Neither shall the priests, the Levites, want a man before me to offer burnt offerings and to kindle meat offerings and to do sacrifice continually.
Right, because he told us that the son, Aaron's son Zodok was going to do that, didn't he? Forever. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 19. And the word of Yahweh came unto Yirmiyahu, saying, Thus says Yahweh, if you can break my covenant of the day and my covenant of the night, and that there should not be day and night in their season, then may also my covenant be broken with David my servant, that he should not have a son to reign upon his throne, and with the Levites, the priests, my ministers. As the host of heaven cannot be numbered, neither the sand of the sea measured, so will I multiply the seed of David my servant, and the Levites that minister unto thee. Moreover, the word of Yahweh came to Yirmiyahu, saying, Do you not consider what this people have spoken, saying, The two families which Yahweh have chosen, he have even cast them off? Thus they have despised my people, that they should be no more nation before them. Thus says Yahweh, if my covenant be not with day and night, and if I have not appointed the ordinances of heaven and earth, then will I cast away the seed of Jacob and David my servant, so that I will not take any of his seed to be rulers over the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. For I will cause their captivity to return and have mercy on them.
Amen. The Gentiles say they're children of Abraham, right? Well, it said we are going to be rulers over the children of Abraham also. Joel chapter 3 and verse 16 through verse 21. Joel chapter 3 and verse 16 through verse 21. Joel chapter 3 and verse 16 through verse 21.
Verse 16. Yahweh also shall roar out of Zion and utter his voice from Jerusalem, and the heavens and the earth shall shake, but Yahweh will be the hope of his people and the strength of the children of Israel. So shall you know that I am Yahweh your Elohim, dwelling in Yehudah, my holy mountain. Then shall Jerusalem be holy, and there shall no stranger pass to her any more. And it shall come to pass in that day that the mountains shall drop down new wine, and the hills shall flow with milk, and all the rivers of Yehudah shall flow with waters, and a fountain shall come forth of the house of Yahweh, and shall water the valley of Shittim. Egypt shall be a desolation, and Edom shall be a desolate wilderness, for the violence against the children of Yehudah, because they have shed innocent blood in their land. But Yehudah shall dwell forever, and Jerusalem from generation to generation. For I will cleanse their blood that I have not cleansed, for Yahweh dwelleth in Yehudah.
Okay, my brother, so we got the master on the scene, we got David on the throne, we got Israel regathered, we got peace and prosperity all over the land, we got the Levites set in place, and Yahweh is setting up to build his temple. Now, let's go to Amos chapter 9, and I want you to read verse 11 through verse 15, my brother. Amos chapter 9 and verse 11 through verse 15. Amos chapter 9 and verse 11 through verse 15.
In that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof, and I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as in the days of old.
So now we talk about the prince's palace being built, right? Okay, go ahead, brother.
Verse 12. That they may possess the remnant of Edom and of all the heathen, which are called by my name, says Yahweh, that doeth it. Behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that the plowman shall overtake the reaper, and the treader of grapes him that sows seed, and the mountains shall drop sweet wine, and all the hills shall melt.
In other words, there's going to be so much prosperity in the land, there's a lot of it's going to go to waste.
Elder, before you go any further to that same thing about the tabernacle being raised up, the apostles speak about that in Acts 15, you know? When they see the Gentiles back, the prophecy is being stirred because of the
Correct. Correct.
New Testament.
Correct. You're absolutely correct, brother. Go ahead and read, Steve.
Yes, sir. Verse 14. And I will bring again the captivity of my people of Israel, and they shall build away cities and inhabit them, and they shall drink vineyards, they shall plant vineyards, and drink the wine thereof. They shall also make gardens and eat the fruit of them. And I will plant them upon their land, and they shall no more be pulled up out of their land which I have given them, says Yahweh, your Elohim.
Okay, my brother, now let's go into Psalms 132 and pick that up at verse 1. Psalms 1, there's too much scripture in here to show you how things is going to be set up for people to walk around and believe all the yin-yang that they believe. But the reason why they believe these things is because Yahweh hasn't called them at this time. And a lot of people that he has called, that they don't even want to hear this because they think they're some great ones. Psalms chapter 132, and pick that up, my brother, at verse 1.
Yes, sir. Yahweh, Remember David and all his afflictions, how he sware unto Yahweh, and vowed unto the mighty El of Jacob. Surely I will not come into the tabernacle of my house, nor go up into my bed. I will not give sleep to mine eyes, or slumber to mine eyelids, until I find out a place for Yahweh, a habitation for the mighty El of Jacob.
And what did Yahweh say? You're going to build me a house? You're going to build me a house? I dwelt in a tent and a tabernacle with the children of Israel seemed like forever. And you're going to build me a house? Well, seeing that you're going to build me a house, I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to build you a house. Okay, go ahead, brother.
Verse 6. Lo, we heard of it at Ephratah. We found it in the fields of the wood. We will go into his tabernacles. We will worship at his footstool. Arise, O Yahweh, into thy rest, thou and the ark of thy strength. Let thy priests be clothed with righteousness, and let thy saints shout for joy. For thy servant David's sake, turn not away the face of thine anointed. Yahweh hath sworn in truth unto David, he will not turn from it. Of the fruit of your body will I set upon your throne. If your children will keep my covenant and my testimony that I shall teach them, their children shall also sit upon your throne forevermore. For Yahweh hath chosen Yehudah, he hath desired it for his habitation. This is my rest forever, here will I dwell, for I have desired it. I will abundantly bless her provision, I will satisfy her poor with bread. I will also clothe her priests with salvation, and her saints shall shout aloud for joy. There will I make the horn of David to bud. I have ordained a lamp for mine anointed. His enemies will I clothe with shame, but upon himself shall his crown flourish.
He's talking about David's horn now. He's not talking about David, that the crown is going to flourish on David's head. He's talking about David's throne. So now let's go into Ezekiel chapter 34, and I want to read verse 11 through verse 31, my brother. Ezekiel chapter 34 and verse 11 through verse 31. We read that, didn't we? We did? Okay. I'm sorry about that. So what do we see? We see that we had the Messiah, David, Israel set up, Judah set up as the governors, and we had the 24 elders that said that they were going to reign as kings on the earth. We had the 144,000, and the 12 apostles were told that they were going to sit on thrones judging the 12 tribes of Israel. Plus, we have those who meet the Messiah in the air, and all of these will be the new creatures that's going to be set up in the land, and the rest of the people of our nation will become a kingdom of priests that will teach this, will be scattered to the four corners of the earth to teach this this word to the nations, that the nations may serve the true and living God for 1,000 years also. Now, let's go into chapter Micah. In the book of Micah, rather, Micah chapter 2. And brother, I want you to read verse 12 and verse 13. Micah chapter 2 and verse 12 and verse 13. Micah chapter 2 and verse 12 and verse 13.
I will surely assemble, O Jacob, all of you. I will surely gather the remnant of Israel. I will put them together as the sheep of Basra, as the flock in the midst of their fold. They shall make great noise by reason of the multitude of men. The breakers come up before them. They have broken up and have passed through the gate and are gone out by it. And their king shall pass before them. and Yahweh on the head of it.
Right. The breakers come up before them. The nations have been destroyed. They've broken up all the power so forth on the earth. And when we leave out of the gates of Jerusalem, the king will be on the lead of us leaving out of the city wherever he wills to go at that time. Chapter 4 and verse 1 through chapter 5 and verse 9. Chapter 4 and verse 1 through chapter 5 and verse 9.
Yes, sir. But in the last days it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of Yahweh shall be established in the top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills, and people shall flow unto it. And many nations shall come and say, Come, and let us go up to the mountain of Yahweh, and to the house of the Elohim of Jacob. And he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For the law shall go forth of Yehudah, and the word of Yahweh from Jerusalem.
The law is going to go forth from Zion, and the word of Yahweh from Jerusalem, right? The Messiah will issue the decrees will come down through the prince, and the prince will give that word to the rulers of the land, and the rulers of the land will pass that word on over to the whole earth. But go ahead and read, brother. Go ahead.
That goes right back to Genesis 49 and 10 when it says the scepter shall not depart from Yehudah until Shiloh comes.
No lawgiver from between the sweet until Shiloh come. Until Shiloh will be the gathering of the people. But we have to understand one thing about the Messiah also. He's a Judite. Okay. So the law still is going forth from Judah, and Judah is going to be the governors that's going to, we're going to read that though. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Micaiah chapter 4, verse 3. And he shall judge among many people, and rebuke strong nations afar off, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore.
Praise Yah.
But they shall sit every man under his vine and under his fig tree, and none shall make them afraid. For the mouth of Yahweh of hosts have spoken.
When you consider that 5/6 of the nations on the earth is going to die off, and 2/3 of us is going to die off, a person can have land for days. You have inheritances to give to the natural children that's born. It's going to be quite a few people that's going to make it into that kingdom as spiritual creatures, but Yahweh is also going to save our houses. And if he save our houses, we have to have inheritances to give our children for 10 generations. So let us think about these things. You know, we look out on the earth today and we see that the things we give our children really don't profit them any. They cause us more problems than anything else because we end up still having to take care of that business over and over and over again so our children can have the things they need. But once we get set up in the land, then we'll be able to raise our children and give our children the things that the nations has always given their children, and our children will know how to give those things to the poor of the land in righteousness, so that the poor of the land will also be taken care of, because we're going to always have the poor among us. But then every man is going to live on his own vine, and every man on his own fig tree. But let's look at that. We live on our own vine and on our own fig trees now, don't we? But ain't we poor? We struggling like hell to try to pay that stuff off, ain't we? Right. Go ahead and read, Steve.
Yes, sir. Micaiah chapter 4, verse 5. For all people will walk, everyone in the name of his God, and we will walk in the name of Yahweh, our Elohim, forever and ever.
Mm-hmm.
And that day, says Yahweh, will I assemble her that halted, and I will gather her that is driven out, and her that I have afflicted, and I will make her that halted a remnant, and her that was cast far off a strong nation. And Yahweh shall reign over them in Mount Sion from henceforth even forever.
Amen.
And thou, O tower of the flock, the stronghold of the daughter of Yehudah, unto you shall it come, even the first dominion. The kingdom shall come to the daughter of Jerusalem.
And Judah will govern the whole kingdom. But go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 9. Now why do you cry out aloud? Is there no king in you? Is your counselor perished? For pains have taken you as a woman in travail. Be in pain and labor to bring forth, O daughter of Yehudah.
Listen to what he said. Listen to what's being said. It says, be in pain and labor in that pain to bring forth. Not just because it's something you can do right now and it won't cause you no problems. A man gave, we got to understand, a whole nation was sacrificed and a man gave up his life so that we can attain the things that we attain. Don't you think it's going to come to a point to where some of us is going to have to give up our lives? Well, you got to die for something. You're going to die anyways. If you're born, you're going to die. Okay, so you make up your mind whose hand you're going to die in. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 10. Be in pain and labor to bring forth, O daughter of Yehuda, like a woman in travail. But now shall you go forth out of the city, and you shall dwell in the field, and you shall go even to America. There shall you be delivered. There Yahweh shall redeem you from the hand of your enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Now also many nations are gathered against you that say, let her be defiled, and let our eye look upon Yehuda.
They ain't talking about Israel now. They're just talking about Judah. Let her be defiled. Let our eyes look upon Judah. Let's put this pressure on Judah and see what Judah going to do. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 12. But they know not the thoughts of Yahweh, neither understand they his counsel. For he shall gather them as the sheaves into the floor. Arise and thresh, O daughter of Yehuda, for I will make thine horn iron, and I will make thy hoofs brass, and thou shalt beat in pieces many people, and I will consecrate their gain unto Yahweh, and their substance unto the Adonai of the whole earth.
Amen.
Now gather thyself in troops, O daughter of troops. He have laid siege against us. They shall smite the judge of Israel with a rod upon the cheek.
Mm-hmm.
But thou, Bethlehem Ephratah, though thou be little among the thousands of Yehuda, yet out of you shall he come forth unto me, that is to be ruler in Israel, whose going forth have been from of old, from everlasting.
That's what you need to throw on some of them brothers, Brother Yosef, right there. Right there. Ask, was he born in Bethlehem of Judah?
Oh,
Okay. Go ahead and read. I think he was born in New Jersey. I'm not sure. Go ahead and read, brother.
yes, sir. Verse 3. Therefore will he give them up until the time that she which travails have brought forth. Then the remnant of his brethren shall return unto the children of Israel.
The she that's going to travail is the churches that the Messiah has set up in this country here. But go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 4. And he shall stand and feed in the strength of Yahweh, in the majesty of the name of Yahweh his Elohim, and they shall abide. For now shall he be great unto the ends of the earth. And this man shall be the peace when the Assyrians shall come into our land. And when he shall tread in our palaces, then shall we raise against him 7 shepherds and 8 principal men.
Then shall we raise against them 7 shepherds that's going to care for the people of Israel, and 8 principal men that's going to command these armies that's going to attack this beast. But go ahead and read, brother.
Verse.
Brother told me, said, man, I sure like to be one of these. I wouldn't. I want to be somewhere watching. Yeah, I want to see it. And when you're in trees, you can't. When you're in the forest, you can't see the trees. See, you can't see the forest for the trees, right? Well, I want to be somewhere looking at it. I want to see this thing here go down. Yeah. Go ahead, brother.
Micaiah chapter 5, verse 6. And they shall waste the land of Assyria with the sword, and the land of Nimrod in the entrances thereof. Thus shall he deliver us from the Assyrian when he comes into our land, and when he treads within our borders. And the remnant of Jacob shall be in the midst of many people as a dew from Yahweh, as the showers upon the grass, that tarries not for a man, nor waits for the sons of men.
Right, when it's time to go, we're going to go. Ain't no doubt about it. Ain't nothing going to keep us from going. When time comes for us to do, this is why I tell you right now, when time comes for you to do what you got to do, you better do it. Because you might get left here if you don't. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 8. And the remnant of Jacob shall be among the Euro-Gentiles in the midst of many people, as a lion among the beasts of the forest, as a young lion among the flocks of sheep, who, if he go through, both treads down and tears in pieces, and none can deliver. Your hand shall be lifted up upon your adversaries, and all your enemies shall be cut off.
Okay, so now what do we have? We had the priesthood of Aaron that was added to that was set in place, and now we got the governors of Judah that are set in place. Now let's go into Isaiah chapter 52 and read verse 1 through verse 15. Isaiah chapter 52 and verse 1 through verse 15.
Verse 1. Awake, awake, put on your strength, O Yehudah. Put on your beautiful garments, O Jerusalem, the holy city. For henceforth there shall no more come into you the uncircumcised and the unclean. Shake thyself from the dust. Arise and sit down, O Jerusalem. Loose thyself from the bands of thy neck, O captive daughter of Yehudah. For thus says Yahweh, you have sold yourselves for naught, and you shall be redeemed without money.
Right, we were redeemed by the blood of the sacrificial lamb that Yahweh sent us. Go ahead. He said Yahweh's going to prepare his own lamb, and he did. Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 4. For thus says the Adonai Elohim, my people went down aforetime into Egypt to sojourn there, and the Assyrians oppressed them without cause.
Right, my people went down in Egypt and sojourned, and I brought them out of there. Now the Assyrians are oppressing, the Gentiles are oppressing them without cause. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 5. Now therefore, what have I here, says Yahweh, that my people is taken away for naught? They that rule over them make them to howl, says Yahweh, and my name continually every day is blasphemed. Therefore my people shall know my name. Therefore they shall know in that day that I am he that does speak. Behold, it is I. How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of him that brings good tidings, that publishes peace, that brings good tidings of good, that publishes salvation, that says unto Yehudah, your Elohim reigneth.
That's what he called you to do. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 8. Your watchmen shall lift up the voice. With the voice together shall they sing. For they shall see eye to eye when Yahweh shall bring again Yehudah.
Right, so ain't no sense in running around trying to get all these camps and everything together, because we're not going to see eye to eye when Yahweh brings Yehudah out into the wilderness and purge out those rebels. That's when we're going to see eye to eye. Yeah, go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 9. Break forth into joy, sing together, you waste places of Jerusalem. For Yahweh have comforted his people, he have redeemed Jerusalem. Yahweh have made bare his holy arm in the eyes of all the nations, and all the ends of the earth shall see the salvation of our Elohim.
His holy arm is the Messiah then, isn't it? Go ahead, brother.
Verse 11. Depart you, go you out from thence, touch no unclean thing. Go you out of the midst of her, be you clean that bear the vessels of Yahweh.
The vessels are the gifts that you've received, right? So be clean that bear those gifts. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 12. For you shall not go out without haste, nor go by flight. For Yahweh will go before you, and the Elohim of Israel will be your rear.
Right, he's going to send those angels, and those angels are going to take you to the place of safety, because the mouth of Yahweh has spoken it. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 13. Behold, my servant shall deal prudently, he shall be exalted and extolled and be very high. As many were astonished at you, his visage was so marred more than any man, and his form more than the sons of men. So shall he sprinkle many nations, the kings shall shut their mouths at him. For that which had not been told them shall they see, and that which they had not heard shall they consider.
Right, we didn't know. Yeah, you can die not knowing. Yeah.
But a lot of us had that. The spirit take us to what we need to go through to get here. Right? So a lot of us, like, we see this and we hear this, and we have to go through all these tribulations before we finally come to it, like we lose jobs and all your material stuff before you just come.
The problems start after you get here. You had pretty good before you come here, brother. But once you get here, man, you always, Lucifer start taking what he gave you. Yeah, Lucifer start taking it. You don't need this nigga, give me this stuff. See, Yahweh start taking, Lucifer start taking this stuff back that he gave. That's when your problems start, when you come here, because you got to change. You got to change when you come to the house, brother. And because what's being programmed into you is something that's spirit. The word's a spirit. And these things are being programmed into you, but understand one thing, like I said before, is many of the other people of the nations that have this word. But what the Holy Ghost does is, the Holy Ghost is what guides you and keeps you in the way so that you can be saved because of where your name is written. Now what you can do is, you can make yourself filthy and get your name taken out of that book. And all you got to do is stop praying, brother. A whole lot of folks don't pray. A whole lot of folks come to church every Saturday and they ain't prayed for a month.
No. That Holy Ghost is the spirit.
You know what they think? Well, I'm going to go there, I'm going to put this money in there, and I'm going to sweep the floors, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and everything. I'm going to make it. No, you ain't. No, you ain't. Zechariah chapter, go ahead, brother.
I just want to comment that, and you know, like you say, all men have some knowledge, part truth, but like you say, we have the Holy Ghost, and it's the spirit of truth, and it's going to guide us in all things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Give us the unadulterated word of this book, right?
Have you in the right place at the right time to do just what you need to do. To hear what you need to hear and to say what you need to say. It always has happened, brother. We can't do this thing on our own. This is why folks, a lot of folks are falling by the wayside, because they expect things to happen that's not happening. But like I always say, except Yahweh build a house, the laborers labor, but in vain. And you can tell who are the members of the house, because the members of the house is always at the house and they're always doing something at the house. Yeah, Zechariah chapter 8 and verse 1 through chapter 10 and verse 12. Zechariah chapter 8 and verse 1 through chapter 10 and verse 12. See, you don't have to think about doing anything for your Creator. The Spirit is going to drive you to do it. And if the Spirit don't drive you to do it, then you have to ask yourself a question, well, whose spirit do I have? Where I told you to go, man, Zechariah? Okay.
Yes, sir, chapter 8, verse 1.
Yeah, Zechariah chapter 8, and pick that up at verse 1.
Again, the word of Yahweh of hosts came to me, saying, Thus says Yahweh of hosts, I was jealous for Yehudah with great jealousy, and I was jealous for her with great fury. Thus says Yahweh, I am returned unto Yehudah, and will dwell in the midst of Jerusalem, and Jerusalem shall be called a city of truth, and the mountain of Yahweh of hosts, the holy mountain. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, there shall yet old men and old women dwell in the streets of Jerusalem, and every man with his staff in his hand for very age. And the streets of the city shall be full of boys and girls playing in the streets thereof. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, if it be marvelous in the eyes of the remnant of this people in these days, should it also be marvelous in mine eyes? Says Yahweh of hosts.
And you don't have to worry about your kids going through a whole lot of changes, niggas trying to sell them drugs and trying to rob them and all this stuff. You won't have to worry about those things, because all the evil people will be in the ground, except two, the beast and the false prophet. Go ahead and read,
Just
brother.
like when we came to the camp earlier, brother, we had a brother riding around here in a dune buggy and tried to just tell him, say, man, slow that thing. He's coming up through there about 40 miles an hour. One of these kids came out of here, out their front door, they got taken out. And he got real adamant about it. Didn't want to slow it up.
Of course, brother.
Got faster.
Jake, you know, Jake trying to show out, man. That's all it is, Jake trying to show out. We know what Jake gonna do, so we just have to look out for our children and our people when Jake is around, because Jake is a snake, brother. Okay, and we have to remember that. You bring a snake, you bring a wounded snake in your house, he's gonna bite you sooner or later. As soon as you nourish him into good health, he was going to bite you. You know why? You knew he was a snake when you took him into your confidences. But you trying to make something good out of it. Yeah, go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 7. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, Behold, I will save my people from the east country and from the west country, and I will bring them, and they shall dwell in the midst of Jerusalem, and they shall be my people, and I will be their Elohim in truth and in righteousness. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, let your hands be strong, you that hear in these days these words by the mouth of the prophets, which were in the day that the foundation of the house of Yahweh of hosts was laid, that the temple might be built. For before these days there was no hire for man, nor any hire for beast, neither was there any peace to him that went out or came in because of the affliction. For I set all men, every one against his neighbor. But now I will not be unto the residue of this people as in the former days, says Yahweh of hosts. For the seed shall be prosperous, the vine shall give her fruit, and the ground shall give her increase, and the heavens shall give their due, and I will cause the remnant of this people to possess all these things. And it shall come to pass that as you were a curse among the heathen, O house of Yehudah and house of Israel, so will I save you, and you shall be a blessing. Fear not, but let your hands be strong.
Verse 20.
Yes, sir. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, it shall yet come to pass that there shall come people and the inhabitants of many cities. And the inhabitants of one city shall go to another, saying, let us go speedily to pray before Yahweh and to seek Yahweh of hosts. I, Zechariah, will go also. Yea, many people and strong nations shall come to seek Yahweh of hosts in Jerusalem and to pray before Yahweh. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, in those days it shall come to pass that 10 men shall take hold out of all languages of the nations, even shall take hold of the skirt of him that is a Jew, saying, we will go with you, for we have heard that Yah is with you.
This is why the Messiah said salvation is of the Jews, but Lucifer said, no, it's not, it's of the Christians. God got rid of y'all and chose us. Go ahead and read, brother. And he said, if my covenant be not with day and night, if I have not laid the foundation of the earth, then will I cast away the seed of Abraham for all that they have done. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Zechariah chapter 9, verse 1.
Verse 9.
Yes, sir. Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Yehudah. Shout, O daughter of Jerusalem. Behold, your king comes unto you. He is just and having salvation, lowly and riding upon an ass, and upon a coat, the foal of an ass.
That's when he went into Jerusalem. People throwing their coats and palm leaves down, talking about, Hosanna, save us now, save us now. And when that brother didn't go in there and kick them Romans out, man, I told you that nigga wasn't going to do nothing. I told you, ain't that Joseph? He's a wine bibber and a gluttonous man. He hang out down there with them pimps and prostitutes and so forth. Didn't I tell you he wasn't going to do nothing? Yeah. Go on to read, brother.
Verse 10. And I will cut off the chariot from Ephraim and the horse from Jerusalem, and the battle bow shall be cut off, and he shall speak peace unto the heathen, and his dominion shall be from sea even to sea, and from the river even to the ends of the earth. As for you also, by the blood of your covenant, I have sent forth your prisoners out of the pit wherein is no water. Turn you to the stronghold, you prisoners of hope. Even today do I declare that I will run the double unto you, when I have bent Yehudah for me, filled the bow with Ephraim, and raised up your sons, O Yehudah, against your sons, O Greece, and made you as the sword of a mighty man. And Yahweh shall be seen over them, and his arrow shall go forth as the lightning. And Elohim shall blow the trumpet, and shall go with the whirlwinds of the south. Yahweh of hosts shall defend them, and they shall devour and subdue with the slinging of stones. And they shall drink and make a noise as do wine, and they shall be filled like the bowls and as the corners of the altar. And Yahweh, their Elohim, shall save them in that day as the flock of his people. For they shall be as the stones of a crown, lifted up as an ensign upon his land. For how great is his goodness, and how great is his beauty. Corn shall make the young men cheerful, and new wine the maids.
Verse 3.
Mine anger was kindled against the shepherds, and I punished the goats. For Yahweh of hosts have visited his flock, the house of Yehudah, and have made them as his goodly horse in the battle. Out of him came forth the corner, out of him the nail, out of him the battle bow, out of him every oppressor together. And they shall be as mighty men, which tread down their enemies in the mire of the streets in the battle, and they shall fight, because Yahweh is with them, and the riders on horses shall be confounded. And I will strengthen the house of Yehudah, and I will save the house of Yosef, and I will bring them again to place them. For I have mercy upon them, and they shall be as though I had not cast them off. For I am Yahweh their Elohim, and will hear them. And they of Ephraim shall be like a mighty man, and their heart shall rejoice as through wine. Yea, their children shall see it, and be glad, and their heart shall rejoice in Yahweh.
Right, for the first time, our children will be able to see us go in action and take something. Actually go as a unit and go and take a whole world from the nations. Good. Not just a country. We're going to take the whole world from the nations. Once you put on all their power and sit your king in the place, you got him, haven't you? Okay, go ahead and read, bro.
The Saul said, do you know the saints shall judge the world? And backed up until the saints shall take the kingdom.
That's what we're doing now. We are judging the world worthy of death. That's why we keep Yahweh's holy days and so forth and so on. When Noah was building the ark, wasn't he judging the world at that time? Were we doing the same thing? Okay. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Zechariah chapter 10, verse 8. I will hiss for them and gather them, for I have redeemed them, and they shall increase as they have increased. And I will sow them among the people, and they shall remember me in far countries, and they shall live with their children and turn again. I will bring them again also out of the land of Egypt, and gather them out of Assyria, and I will bring them into the land of Gilead, and Lebanon, and place shall not be found for them.
Right, ain't gonna be no place where Israel ain't gonna be. Go ahead. We got to rule the earth, haven't we? Okay, go ahead and read. But you can't just stay in Jerusalem and tell everybody else what to do. Y'all know how these white folks gonna do things, and black folks too. We're gonna have to be there. Go ahead and read.
It's like you said, when the Messiah, when he appears in his glory, it's going to be a lot of people in lands that's below sea level, so to speak. They're not going to be able to see him, right?
It's going to be people on the other side of the earth. They ain't going to even know what's going on. That's why he said, I'm going to send them that escape of them to the nations.
Governors for Jews.
Right, I'm going to send them to the nation that those that have not heard of my fame will hear of me. Right. Okay, go ahead now. Say, what shall man declare among the nation? That the Adonai reigns from Mount Zion. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 11. And he shall pass through the sea with affliction, and shall smite the waves in the sea, and all the deeps of the river shall dry up. And the pride of Assyria shall be brought down, and the scepter of Egypt shall depart away. And I will strengthen them in Yahweh, and they shall walk up and down in his name, says Yahweh.
Chapter 12, you finish that? 10 and 12, okay. I got one more piece of scripture I'm going to read on this, and this is in the prophet Ezekiel. Let's go into the prophet Ezekiel and set up things the way that they are going to be set up as far as the people, the temple, and different things are concerned. We're going to start this at Ezekiel chapter 40 and verse 1. We're going to skip around in here, but we're going to do it Ezekiel chapter 40 and verse 1 up through chapter 48 and verse 33. Ezekiel chapter 40, and pick that up at verse 1. Now once we get the priesthood, when the temple is built, the priesthood is set in order, and the kingdom is filled with Jews and proselytes. People talking it's going to be a Christian kingdom. It's going to be Jews and proselytes. Proselytes is a convert to Judaism.
Before we go off, I want to say this, like, you know, you will be scared here to took the country from the Indians, right? They didn't vote for it. But the same thing happened to them. You take from them and you give them that showed up bloodshed. The kid is going to take them.
He came and took our land, and we're going to go take it back. You know what I mean? That's what's going to happen once we take. Man, let me tell you something. Once you defeat, it's just like right now. If a country would jump up and totally defeat America, boy, to where she don't have a pot to pee in or a window to throw it out. If people would go ahead and destroy America like that, brother, what do you think is going to happen? She won't be a power no more, right? People just walk right over her, right? Well, that's what's going to happen once Judah does things. Judah just going to walk over people. You know why? The angels, brother, the angels been here forever protecting you, and they're going to still be there fighting that battle for you. You ain't going to be doing nothing but just throwing stuff around, thinking you're doing something just like we do now. We think we're doing something now, not understanding it's the angels of Yahweh that's taking care of our business, but because we don't see them, we think we some great one. I'm going to do this, and I ain't going to do that, right? Ezekiel chapter 40, and pick that up at verse 1, my brother.
Yes, sir. In the 25th year of our captivity, in the beginning of the year, in the 10th day of the month, in the 14th year after that the city was smitten, in the self same day, the hand of Yahweh was upon me and brought me thither. In the visions of Elohim brought he me in the land of Israel, and set me upon a very high mountain, by which was as the frame of a city on the south. And he brought me thither, and behold, there was a man whose appearance was like the appearance of brass, with a line of flax in his hand, and a measuring reed, and he stood in the gate. And the man said unto me, Son of man, behold with thine eyes, and hear with thine ears, and set thine heart upon all that I shall show you. For to the intent that I might show them unto you are you brought hither. Declare all that you see to the house of Israel.
He didn't say declare this to the nations. He said declare this to the house of Israel, right? Go ahead, brother.
Verse 5. And behold, a wall on the outside of the house round about, and in the man's hand a measuring reed of 6 cubits long by the cubit, and a hand breadth. So he measured the breadth of the building 1 reed, and the height 1 reed. Then came he unto the gate which looks toward the east, and went up the stairs thereof, and measured the threshold of the gate, which was 1 reed broad, and the other threshold of the gate, which was 1 reed broad. And every little chamber was 1 reed long, and 1 reed broad.
Okay, now none of us are a lot of carpenters and engineers and everything, so we don't have to deal with that. What I want to get out of here is verse 4. It says, And the man said unto me, Son of man, behold with your eyes, and hear with your ears, and set your heart upon all that I show you, for to the intent that I might show them unto you are you brought hither. Declare all that you see is to the house of Israel. Everything you see, show it to Israel. Now let's go to chapter 43. That's the building of the temple he's going to build. And let's go into chapter 43 and pick that up at verse 1.
Yes, sir. Verse 1. Afterward, he brought me to the gate, even the gate that looks toward the east. And behold, the glory of the Elohim of Israel came from the way of the east, and his voice was like a noise of many waters, and the earth shined with his glory.
So he came into the temple through the east gate, right? Go ahead, brother.
Verse 3. And it was according to the appearance of the vision which I saw, even according to the vision that I saw when I came to destroy the city. And the visions were like the vision that I saw by the river Kibar, and I fell upon my face. And the glory of Yahweh came into the house by the way of the gate, whose prospect is toward the east. So the Spirit took me up and brought me into the inner court, and behold, the glory of Yahweh filled the house. And I heard him speaking unto me out of the house, and the man stood by me. And he said unto me, Son of man, the place of my throne, and the place of the soles of my feet, where I will dwell in the midst of the children of Israel forever, and my holy name shall the house of Israel no more defile, neither they nor their kings by their whoredom, nor by the carcasses of their kings in their high places. In their setting of their threshold by my thresholds, and their posts by my posts, and the wall between me and them, they have even defiled my holy name by their abominations that they have committed. Wherefore I have consumed them in mine anger. Now let them put away their whoredom and the carcasses of their kings far from me, and I will dwell in the midst of them forever.
Verse 12.
Yes, sir. This is the law of the house. Upon the top of the mountain, the whole limit thereof round about shall be most holy. Behold, this is the law of the house.
44 and verse 1.
Then he brought me back the way of the gate of the outward sanctuary, which looked toward the east, and it was shut. Then said Yahweh unto me, this gate shall be shut, it shall not be opened, and no man shall enter in by it, because Yahweh, the Elohim of Israel, have entered in by it, therefore it shall be shut.
So the Messiah comes in the east gate, right? Okay, go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 3. It is for the prince.
David also comes in that east gate, doesn't he? Go ahead, brother.
The prince, he shall sit in it to eat bread before Yahweh. He shall enter by the way of the porch of that gate, and shall go out by the way of the same.
Verse 9.
Thus says the Adonai Elohim, no stranger, uncircumcised in heart, nor uncircumcised in flesh, shall enter into my sanctuary of any stranger that is among the children of Israel. And the Levites that are gone away far from me, when Israel went astray, which went astray away from me after their idols, they shall even bear their iniquity. Yet they shall be ministers in my sanctuary, having charge at the gates of the house, and ministering to the house. They shall slay the burnt offering and the sacrifice for the people, and they shall stand before them to minister unto them.
Now that's fulfilling the covenant that he made with Aaron, that he'd always have a man to stand before him, and truly the sons of Zodok are the sons of Aaron. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 12. Because they ministered unto them before their idols, and caused the house of Israel to fall into iniquity, therefore have I lifted up mine hand against them, says the Adonai Elohim, and they shall bear their iniquity. And they shall not come near unto me to do the office of a priest unto me, nor to come near to any of my holy things in the most holy place. But they shall bear their shame and their abominations which they have committed. But I will make them keepers of the charge of the house, for all the service thereof, and for all that shall be done therein.
Now that's the rest of the Levites, right? We had 24 courses of the priesthood that David set up, right? Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 15. But the priests, the Levites, the sons of Zodok, that kept the charge of my sanctuary, when the children of Israel went astray from me, they shall come near to me to minister unto me, and they shall stand before me to offer unto me the fat and the blood, says the Adonai Elohim. They shall enter into my sanctuary, and they shall come near to my table to minister unto me, and they shall keep my charge. And it shall come to pass that when they enter in at the gates of the inner court, they shall be clothed with linen garments, and no wool shall come upon them, whilst they minister in the gates of the inner court and within. They shall have linen bonnets upon their heads, and shall have linen breeches upon their loins. They shall not gird themselves with anything that causes sweat.
Verse chapter 45 and verse 1.
Moreover, when you shall divide by lot the land for inheritance, you shall offer an oblation unto Yahweh, an holy portion of the land. The length shall be the length of 25,000 reeds, and the breadth shall be 10,000. This shall be holy in all the borders thereof round about. Of this there shall be for the sanctuary 500 in length, and 500 in breadth, square round about, and 50 cubits round about for the suburbs thereof. And of this measure shall you measure the length of 25,000, and the breadth of 10,000. And in it shall be the sanctuary and the most holy.
So in other words, what it's telling me is that the holy portion is going to be 350,000 cubits, and the sanctuary is going to be 180,000 cubits. That's a big sanctuary. Mm-hmm. Yeah, a cubit is 18 inches, and when you talk about the length of something being 180,000 cubits, that's a pretty big place. Yeah, but go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 4. The holy portion of the land shall be for the priests, the ministers of the sanctuary, which shall come near to minister unto Yahweh. And it shall be a place for their houses, and a holy place for the sanctuary.
All the suburbs of the city of Jerusalem all the suburbs right around the main city is going to be for the priests, right? And you may have 600,000 priests in there. Don't nobody know how many it's going to be. I don't know, and don't nobody else know. But go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 5. And the 25,000 of length and the 10,000 of breadth shall also the Levites, the ministers of the house, have for themselves, for a possession for 20 chambers. And you shall appoint the possession of the city 5,000 broad and 25,000 long, over against the oblation of the holy portion. It shall be for the whole house of Israel. And a portion shall be for the prince on the one side, and on the other side of the oblation of the holy portion, and of the possession of the city, before the oblation of the holy portion, and before the possession of the city, from the west side westward, and from the east side eastward. And the length shall be over against one of the portions, from the west border unto the east border. In the land shall be his possession in Israel, and my princes shall no more oppress my people. And the rest of the land shall they give to the house of Israel according to their tribes.
46:1.
Thus says the Adonai Elohim, the gate of the inner court that looks toward the east shall be shut 6 working days. But on the Shabbat it shall be open, and in the day of the new moon it shall be open.
Now, Isaiah backed that up in chapter 66, didn't he? Okay, go ahead. And in Leviticus 25th chapter, he said, you're going to do this forever, throughout your generations and all of your dwellings. And in Numbers 10, he told us we're going to keep that trumpet thing forever, right? Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Verse 2. And the prince shall enter by the way of the porch of that gate without, and shall stand by the post of the gate, and the priest shall prepare his burnt offering and his peace offerings, and he shall worship at the threshold of the gate. Then he shall go forth, but the gate shall not be shut until the evening. Likewise, the people of the land shall worship at the door of this gate before Yahweh in the Sabbaths and in the new moon.
47 and verse 13.
Yes, sir. Thus says the Adonai Elohim, this shall be the border whereby you shall inherit the land according to the 12 tribes of Israel. Yourself shall have 2 portions, and you shall inherit it one as well as another, concerning the which I lifted up mine hand to give it unto your fathers, and this land shall fall unto you for inheritance.
Okay, verse 21.
So shall you divide this land unto you according to the tribes of Israel. And it shall come to pass that you shall divide it by lot for an inheritance unto you and to the strangers that sojourn among you, which shall beget children among you, and they shall be unto you as born in the country among the children of Israel, and they shall have inheritance with you among the tribes of Israel. And it shall come to pass that in what tribe the stranger sojourns, there shall you give him his inheritance, says the Adonai Elohim. Now these are the names of the tribes. From the north end to the coast of the way of Hethlon, as one goes to Hamath Hazar Enan, the border of Damascus northward, to the coast of Hamath, for these are his sides, east and west, a portion for Dan.
Now, people, Dan is not mentioned in the list of the 144,000. But people say, well, see, Dan was taken out so we can be grafted in, so he did get rid of one of the tribes. No, he didn't. You see, Dan right here got his portion, didn't he? Go ahead, brother.
Verse 2. And by the border of Dan, from the east side unto the west side, a portion for Asher. And by the border of Asher, from the east side even unto the west side, a portion for Naphtali. And by the border of Naphtali, from the east side unto the west side, a portion for Manasseh. And by the border of Manasseh, from the east side unto the west side, a portion for Ephraim. And by the border of Ephraim, from the east side even unto the west side, a portion from Reuben. And by the border of Reuben, from the east side unto the west side, a portion for Yehuda. And by the border of Yehuda, from the east side unto the west side, shall be the offering which you shall offer of 25,000 reeds in breadth and in length as one of the other parts, from the east side unto the west side. And the sanctuary shall be in the midst of it.
Mm-hmm.
The oblation that you shall offer unto Yahweh shall be of 25,000 in length and of 10,000 in breadth.
Verse 21.
And the residue shall be for the prince on the one side and on the other side of the holy oblation and of the possession of the city, over against the 25,000 of the oblation toward the east border, and westward over against the 25,000 toward the west border, over against the portions for the prince. And it shall be the holy oblation, and the sanctuary of the house shall be in the midst thereof. Moreover, from the possession of the Levites, and from the possession of the city, being in the midst of that which is the prince, between the border of Yehuda and the border of Benjamin, shall be for the prince.
Mm-hmm.
As for the rest of the tribes, from the east side unto the west side, Benjamin shall have a portion. And by the border of Benjamin, from the east side unto the west side, Simeon shall have a portion. And by the border of Simeon, from the east side unto the west side, Issachar a portion. And by the border of Issachar, from the east side unto the west side, Zebulun a portion. And by the border of Zebulun, from the east side unto the west side, Gad a portion. And by the border of Gad at the south side, southward, the border shall be even from Tamar unto the waters of strife in Kadesh, and to the river toward the great sea. This is the land which you shall divide by lot unto the tribes of Israel for inheritance. And these are their portions, says the Adonai Elohim. And these are the goings out of the city on the north side, 4,500 measures. And the gates of the city shall be after the names of the tribes of Israel. 3 gates northward, 1 gate of Reuben, 1 gate of Yehuda, 1 gate of Levi. And at the east side, 4,500, and 3 gates, and 1 gate of Joseph, 1 gate of Benjamin, 1 gate of Dan. And at the south side, 4,500 measures, and 3 gates, 1 gate of Simeon, 1 gate of Issachar, and 1 gate of Zebulun. And at the west side, 4,500 with their 3 gates, 1 gate of Gad, 1 gate of Asher, 1 gate of Naphtali. It was round about 18,000 measures. And the name of the city from that day shall be Yahweh is that.
In other words, the city is going to is approximately 1 mile on each side of the city. That's a pretty good size city to be a holy portion that's going to be given unto the God of Israel. But as we see, everything was already, Yahweh already told us just how things are going to be set up in that land. And we understand these things simply because we are the children of Israel, and we are striving to attain the salvation that Yahweh has offered us. But then, who's sufficient of these things? But let us think on these things. And one of you brothers that's got some smarts, you know, I ain't too well wrapped up here. One of you brothers got some smarts. Y'all might want to figure out some of these portions here and draw us up a design so we can very well see how the city is going to be laid out and how things are going to be done with our coming ins and our going outs and so forth, and how the nations is going to come up. And then like I always ask the nations, once we read, I go to Revelation, then I come read here and ask them, say, where's your gate? If you don't go in there with me, then you will not receive salvation. That's about all I'm going to do today, and may Yahweh have mercy upon us all.
Hallelujah.